If I can talk to you today as a farmer, now I've actually just received 10 mil of rain and the crops are going to start germinating now and start growing, and up until last night when I knew we got the 10 mils I was very worried. Now when I go to put fertiliser on, I would actually like to do it in a way so that I'm improving my soil for next year, so that it'll store more moisture and hopefully be softer so I can get a better germination. So how do I achieve this? Well, if I look at a plant as simply being a fertiliser pump and also being a machine to store carbon in the soil, I think, well, that's a bit complex, but that's really the plant's job. It pumps moisture and nutrient out of the soil and it converts energy from the sun into carbon. Okay, so that's simple enough. Now as a farmer, I always want more organic matter in my soil. If I have higher organic matter levels, I'll store more nutrients, more moisture, and that'll generally mean more profitability. So I've got a better soil type if I've got, across the board, if I've got more organic matter. So every year that I put fertiliser on, if I can use a system that actually improves root growth, captures more energy from the sun and gives me more net roots in the soil, then I'm going to make more money, and I'm actually building the natural soil fertility of my farm every year. So if I just focus on the capturing more energy from the sun. So the plant's growing, it gets more energy from the sun, puts a larger root system on. That's pretty simple. But just go one step further. So that plant, it's pulling the energy down, and then what we get is plant root exudate. So basically carbohydrate being pumped out of the root system. And that's what the soil microbes basically live on. So we call this rhizosphere modification. So it's a symbiotic relationship. The plant is feeding more plant root exudate or carbohydrate into the soil. This is then feeding microbial activity, and then the microbes are basically converting the soil nutrients into plant available forms and delivering to the root, and then the root delivers them to the plant. So to get a more efficient uptake of nutrients and basically access more of the moisture and nutrients out of the soil, I need a fertiliser program that simply works by putting more roots on that plant in the year that it's trying to grow the crop. And that is building up my net organic matter. And as a farmer, we should all have a strategy for building up more organic matter every year. So this leads you into basically the RLF range of products, and every time you either put a seed primer on or a foliar product on that's got an RLF name on it, we are increasing root growth, which means you are increasing your organic matter. And that means that you're increasing the natural soil fertility. So your farm is in better shape next year if you use RLF compared to just using traditional fertiliser programs. Every farmer should be looking at ways to build natural soil fertility, and every farmer should be looking at ways of building more strong, robust root systems onto their plants in season, so that next year there's more root system left in the ground, which is going to make your ground softer, easy to seed and retain more moisture, so you're more likely to get a good germination next year. This is just one of the secondary benefits of the RLF program. So the obvious stuff is that we're supplying nutrients to the leaf. The less obvious stuff is that we're working with the plant and we're stimulating the plant to put a larger root system on. That has great in-season benefits of accessing more moisture and nutrient from the soil, but the big picture is we're building up the natural soil fertility of our farm. So next year I know that my farm's in better shape than it was this year for the same amount of spend on fertiliser.